coming back to life.
Holy cow. I can't believe it.
I went, wow.
It's been a long time coming.
Is it 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years.
Wow.
25, is that right? 25 years later?
When I found out about the remaster, like it existed, and the Dead Shall Rise, like I literally physically fell out of my chair, like it was like a shock.
People come up and they say, "Oh my God, I loved Raziel. I love Soul Reaver. Oh, that God, that's the best game ever, and I grew up with it." And they say, "Are you coming back? Is it coming back?" And I said, "I have no idea."
It's been like being undead, being a Legacy of Kain fan for the past 20 years.
How was traffic? Good God, it was a mess. I flew over most of it, you know.
Legacy of Kain is not a small undertaking. There's so many aspects of people who care about it and that are actually taking it on, and that's what's exciting to me at this time when it's resurfacing, having the gall to do it.
A majority of the team are fans of this franchise, and I think that drives the passion and excitement for them to be involved.
So I had Soul Reaver on the Sega Dreamcast, and it was one of the small handful of games I treasured on that thing. And it had this world-switching mechanic, which was just awesome. The environment would morph around you. Like, it wouldn't just flash into another world. You'd watch like pillars grow and shrink, and everything would kind of morph between the two worlds. And it had this crazy story. It was just awesome. It's a series I always wanted to see come back.
I played Blood Omen, like I rented that on the PlayStation back in the day. With its horrendous load times, I really kind of came to love the series with Soul Reaver. It's really like exciting to like try to honor the history of Legacy of Kain.
Raziel in particular always kind of stood out to me, and I always was gravitated to that story.
After all this time, to have it finally coming back and to have a hand in that is just the most amazing feeling.
I remember when I was a child and 12, playing these games and buying the magazines, playing the demos. I didn't have the full versions yet. Like, you just play these things and you're like, how did they do this game? And over 20 years later, and I actually get the chance to work in it. It's just I can't even express like how I'm so grateful I got this chance. It's a huge honor to be able to to be trusted into these games and come from the fan side into the dark side of the game dev, and just knowing every nook and cranny. As my parents were complaining I was playing these games too much, like it came in handy. It came 20 years later, but it still came in handy.
It's really surreal as a fan of the franchise since roughly about the year 2000. So for the last 25, almost 26 years, never in a million years would I have thought that I would be a part of Raziel and Kain's legacy.
I'm James Rhodes, the Vice President and co-founder at BitBot. BitBot is kind of a new media company. We do video games, film, merchandise, graphic novels, comics, primarily of things that we're just passionate about. When we first got involved with the graphic novel and we knew we were going to do a Kickstarter, we knew there was a fan base, but we didn't know how active because it had been so many years since something had really happened. And Crystal Dynamics had sent out a survey and had shared with us that like 100,000 people responded. But we didn't know, are people gonna show up when a product is released? And that first day when we launched the Kickstarter, the fan reaction was overwhelming. The Ascendance video game is our take on expanding the world of Legacy of Kain, which will be a kind of retro side-scroller experience, expanding these characters in ways that people haven't seen before.
Storytelling and cinematics were just, for their time, they were really high-end. Even the original Blood Omen, I wanted to approach it differently than it had been done before as a retro side-scroller. It's neat because it's a different type of medium that fans haven't seen, much like the game itself. This game is modern retro, but the cinematics are anime, and so we're taking the franchise into new places and letting people experience it in a different way, and I think the final result speaks for itself. It's super cool.
Yeah, it was definitely just sort of like taking the characters and this very rich and very cared for world and incorporating it into this 2D setting, into this art style that has been pre-established, and finding a nice sort of compromise that pays respect to the original source material.
We saw an opportunity to partner up with Sam Bedos at Freak Zone Games, who's known for these kind of modern retro games.
So the big theme here is flight, Ascendance. I think the biggest kind of revelation of this is that we're actually getting to play as Raziel with wings.
Something new that the games had never explored before was letting players take Vampire Raziel and actually play with him and fly.
His gaining of his wings is one of the most pivotal moments of Soul Reaver as a story and of Legacy of Kain as a whole, in that entire universe. We've never played as Raziel flying. And I just remember thinking, how can we make flight work with a platformer in a way that feels powerful and epic, but also doesn't feel completely overpowered? And so we have these very interesting kind of flight mechanics with the lore meter that controls your vampire abilities. You can dash around in the air and you can glide down, and there's all kinds of flight maneuvers that you pull off in this game to traverse the levels and the puzzles and things. And so it's all around this idea of keeping yourself airborne whilst maintaining your lore meter and dive bombing against these enemies and just making the most of all your abilities. I found that the vampires, they are so strong and agile and powerful, but also a drop of water or a flame can just completely end them. We give them flight and we make them strong, but we also make them rely on their lore meter and have to refill with blood and everything.
Then on top of that, we also open it up and we let characters play as Seraphin Raziel.
The attacks for both Vampire Raziel and Seraphin Raziel are different. It's like a stab versus a slash. But with the counter, those two are switched. So Seraphin Raziel has the slash when countering, but Vampire Raziel has the sort of stab calling back to that previous variant. Finding little bits and pieces where we can pay respect to the source material.
The biggest challenge in designing the gameplay for this was we have the perspectives of 4 different characters, all of which have different abilities and different motives. Seraphin Raziel, when you play as him, you kind of feel the absence of the flight and these abilities, but he gains his own strength. He has his fire bombs. And then we also have Kain. When you play as Kain, you feel that it's so powerful. You can turn into a swarm of bats. You can turn into fog and dash around through grates and dash behind the enemies, turn invisible into fog, dash behind them and hit them in the back. You feel so powerful.
To arms, brothers! The blue demon is at our doorstep.
What appealed to me when I first was introduced to Soul Reaver, not only was it beautiful and gorgeous and unique for its time, it had amazing voice acting. I mean, that's just really what stood out. And because it was such a deep, complex story, you've got to have a good cast. They brought it to life. These were just words on a page. And I think a lot of that credit goes to Michael Bell and Simon Templeman, Raziel and Kain.
So, you've come to avenge that filthy parasite and reclaim his foul heart. You're a righteous fiend, aren't you?
Is this typo blood that I'm drinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we were joking. It was a little bit of a dream, this idea that hey, maybe we could get all the original cast back together. The enthusiasm on their part to want to come back and do these characters again was actually really, really fun to see.
Yeah!
It was exciting to do, yeah.
You call time a tapestry. If that is so, then the loom insists on its own great design.
I mean, it's amazing that Simon Templeman and Michael Bell returned, true, absolute legends.
Thornlatch. Then that is where it must begin. You speak of a past I have yet to make, and yet here you stand, shaped by it. If hatred brought you to this moment, then perhaps it was always meant to. Not as a victim, but as an instrument of my will.
And then Anna Gunn was a part of the original cast.
I mean, it's amazing. That's a very passionate fan base. It's really exciting.
Richard Doyle was excited to return as well.
How fitting. The creature that now hunts you led you on your most sacred kill.
When we started talking about new characters, I told Josh, I was like, we got to get Darin. I don't care what voice he does. We've got to get him.
Yes, Lady of Thornlatch. I am foolish, but know this. I did not curse your beloved.
Every time I hear his voice in a game, it always stands out to me. I listen to it and I think to myself, who did that voice? And I look it up. at least half the time I do this, it's Darin DePaul.
I did not guide you to this place, child. You were drawn here by threads beyond my reach, but the path is not unfamiliar.
Did you hear his cowardly screams when I tore that black heart out of his carcass?
I think a lot of fans thought that they were done. You know, that was it. They're back, and fans are going to get to experience that again. Boom!
It's us.
Going back to the original Soul Reaver in particular, the opening cinematic, Raziel's theme, you know, that track was always super cool.
Clayton is the artist and producer best known as Cell Dweller. He has been making music since the early 90s, from kind of industrial metal to game score. He just runs a whole spectrum. He has a diehard global fan base and, you know, is known for his unique sound design and high production quality.
My sound has always been fairly eclectic. It's very electronic, it's been orchestral, drum and bass, psytrance, pick a genre or a style and throw them in a blender, and that's the sound of Cell Dwellers.
He's doing original score, covering a song from the original game, and bringing that to life in a whole new way with modern production and his unique touch.
Bringing new life into it was part of my goal. Really never is my goal with any project I take on to just recreate what came before me. I pay homage to it. I feel like I'm always respectful of it. So diving into the score for these albums, digesting the sound of it, and instantly trying to reimagine what does that sound like in 2025, and we're talking 25, 30 years later. Recognizing that these were created in the 90s, early 2000s, and the technology that existed then, because I was making music at the same time. I used a bunch of modular stuff, which is machines like this to create sounds, and kind of 90s digital synths. These are old machines that were like widely used in the 90s and even into the early 2000s. So relying on that kind of stuff for some sound design heavily influenced the direction and the sonic architecture of the score.
Putting a game together is no easy feat, whether it's a small indie project or a massive AAA title. It requires a team, it requires a group of people that are A, passionate, and B, talented. We have a small team, but we're pretty lucky with the team that we've got. Everybody's been very excited about the project, very passionate. We're in this stage where we're just really enjoying what we're seeing. Like giving fans the opportunity to experience that firsthand and exploring and expanding upon very iconic moments within the series. Hearing Michael and Simon and Anna returning to their characters and playing as characters that they never got to play before, and having fun with this franchise that we all thought was dead and gone, and that's all because of a passionate group of people.
Here it is.
You're in for an amazing ride.
Darkness.